Nation of Islam is an organization that was founded in July 1930 around the time of the Great Depression by Wallace D. Fard Muhammad. The goal was to increase the mental, social, economic, and spiritual well-being of African Americans. The Nation of Islam sparked tons of controversy because people felt like they were black supremacists. They say they were racist along with anti-gay. The Nation of Islam, like many other organizations, was created to help the well-being of blacks, but unfortunately, they were not effective because they were corrupt and racist. The Nation of Islam made too many enemies, handled situations inappropriately, and were undiverse. After Fard mysteriously disappeared in 1934, Elijah Muhammad took over. Elijah Muhammad said that the entire Caucasian race were devils. Elijah Muhammad also said that they were created by scientists and they were the beasts and the revelation of the Bible. This was a loss of any white supporters. There were many groups that were diverse. Blacks and whites sometimes got together and got things accomplished. How can Elijah Muhammad get anything accomplished when he is blocking out some supporters? Why couldn't he go about things the way Martin Luther King did? On August 28, 1963, Martin Luther King held a march in Washington for jobs and freedom. There was about 250,000 to 400,000 supporters of all races. There, he gave his legendary I Have a Dream speech that was heard worldwide. Martin Luther King had supporters of all kinds. Anyone that believed in the same thing that he believed in got together and joined the fight. There, he got
President
Johnson
Johnson
to sign the Civil Rights Bill. This was one of the biggest accomplishments for civil rights because he allowed anyone who believed in what he was fighting for to join the fight. Elijah Muhammad had not accomplished anything of this sort because he didn't allow just anybody to support him. He wanted to choose. He wanted to decide who was fit and who wasn't. If Martin Luther King can get a goal accomplished with the help of outside races and groups, why couldn't Elijah Muhammad also do this? This would have made the Nation of Islam more effective. They would have help from outsiders, hundreds of thousands of other races. He called the whole white race devils and says that God will punish them along with anybody who's trying to love them. Not only is he pushing away white supporters, but anybody who tries to love them. In a session of Table Talks, a series of informal discussion with house guests, Elijah Muhammad speaks on homosexuality. He says, "See this girl over here? She wants her for her sweetheart. See this little boy over here? He wants him for his wife. See, those boys over here, they are not natural. They are all savages. They want to be sweethearts with each other. These are the types that Allah wants to burn up." This was a clear sign of his dislike of homosexuals. This is a loss of homosexual supporters that he did have or would have had, along with anybody else who supports homosexuals. How could a homosexual person support somebody if he says that Allah wants them to burn up? In this session of Table Talk, he also said that if anyone decides to follow after this evil, he will punish them, and their parents will join him in the punishment, and that they are not fit for Islam nor Christianity. How can he obtain any homosexual followers when he tells them that they are not fit for the Nation of Islam? Elijah Muhammad is pushing people away. How can he be effective in getting anything done when he has no one there to back him up? Not only is he just limiting himself to supporters, but he is also creating enemies. They may be quicker to join any group, even if they don't believe in him, if they are against the Nation of Islam. If the Nation of Islam are supposed to be a positive group, why were they discriminating and decide whether or not people are fit for the Nation of Islam? Malcolm Little, also known as Malcolm X, was once part of the Nation of Islam. In 1963, he was made national spokesman for the Nation of Islam. He vowed his message of black pride and rights. Malcolm X begins to gain fame and publicity, recognition. As he is coming up, his relationship with the Nation of Islam is coming down. Some say it was because of jealousy. After Malcolm X spoke on the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, after Elijah Muhammad had said not to, he was silenced for 90 days. Then word got around that Muhammad intended to push Malcolm X out of the Nation of Islam. When it all became too much, in March 1964, Malcolm X announced his withdrawal from the Nation of Islam. On a pilgrimage, Malcolm X had decided to live his life differently than the way the Nation of Islam led him to live it. He decided to base everything on faith rather than skin color. He began his own movement with the Organization of Afro-American Unity. Now he decided to encourage whites to teach oppression. This gained him many followers. He said it was diverse, unlike the Nation of Islam. He said that when he was a part of the Nation of Islam, he felt like a zombie. He was pointed to a direction and just told to follow. Malcolm X said that the Nation of Islam would have to kill him because he knew where the bodies were buried. This is proof of corruption. In the Nation of Islam's paper, The Final Call, they say that Muslims have never made an aggressive move in America and want to live in peace. Yet, on February 21st, 1965, Malcolm X was addressing his organization. Two diversions were created, and Malcolm X was there, shot to death, with 2 automatic handguns and a double-barrel sawed-off shotgun. Autopsy reports showed that 21 gunshots were throughout his body. Whoever planned and carried out this deed must have been aggressive. And 3 of the Nation of Islam members were convicted for this murder. They say they never made a move of aggression, but this shows differently. Why kill someone if you all are fighting for the same thing? Why is it that shortly after he left the Nation of Islam, they want him dead, when they were all once one big happy organization? How could the Nation of Islam possibly want to help the well-being of blacks when they are even killing off former members? Who can trust you, and how can you be effective when you planned and carried out the assassination of a very popular former member in front of his pregnant wife and 3 kids? In Elijah Muhammad's book, The Fall of America, he says that Jesus was not the final word of truth, and that even God himself said that later someone would not only reveal the truth, but also let it be known to everyone living in the mud of ignorance and shame. Then Elijah Muhammad says that he is going to give them the truth. He felt like it was his right and his responsibility to tell everyone who was fit for Islam and Christianity. The Nation of Islam has a headquarters in Chicago, Illinois, in the South Shore neighborhood, Mosque Mariam. Some say this was a place of savior for African Americans, but the sacrifice was too large. The Nation of Islam had pushed out whites, pushed out homosexuals, and eventually pushed away their own kind, who were only trying to help. Helping one race doesn't mean you have to bring down others. Some people don't know anything about the Nation of Islam. Some automatically assume it was just an old racist organization, and some don't even know they still exist. All the corruption and racism has led to an automatic stereotype of the Nation of Islam, and the stereotype will be correct. One cannot look over the evils of his past. Following the death of Elijah Muhammad, his son took over for a short amount of time before Louis Farrakhan, one of Elijah Muhammad's biggest helpers, rejected his authority and re-established the Nation of Islam into its original model, how it stands today. The Nation of Islam was a group that was corrupted in racism and was not effective because they weren't focused on the right things. So now he wants to give me a recorder.